To another episode of the CattleUSA Daily Podcast. Today we are taking a little bit of a solo episode turn, and we are going to be talking about a really important topic here in ag, and that is the power of showing up and the aspect of being present, not only in associations and different organizations, but showing up for your family and people around you, and then also showing up for yourself. What that looks like, how we can continue to grow and be better, and how showing up is going to continue to motivate the industry to be better and to grow and to continue to evolve into something really amazing. So first and foremost, showing up when it's not easy. Showing up is not always easy. And you know what? I think the biggest aspect of showing up is that time where you are showing up when it isn't easy. Because if everything's going great in life, then it's easy to show up, right? It's easy to be there. It's easy to be present. But when everything in life is going terribly, let's say you just don't want to get out of bed this morning, the cattle and everything else is going wrong. Calving season has gone to shit. Showing up when the market is down, when the weather is crap, whatever that is for you. It's hard to show up and life is beating you down, right? Whether that be for different organizations, whether it's showing up for yourself, whether it's showing up for your family, it's hard to show up when life is beating you down. But I want to encourage you on this aspect. Consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. Remember that. The consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. So what are you doing right now to get that discipline going, right? When life is going good is the time to get that discipline going and get these habits installed, right? So showing up for yourself and showing up for your family, those are two places that you have non-negotiable habits that you need to have in place, right? And so the best time to put those in place is when life is going great, right? Because that is the time that you have the mental capacity to start involving something new. So what are you doing right now to get that discipline in place? That way, when life is kind of going to shit, that discipline is already there. So that way your mind knows that hey, showing up for myself and showing up for my family is a non-negotiable today. So I'm going to be showing up, right? So even if everything else is going to crap, you have got that consistency and that discipline in place where your mind just automatically goes there. It doesn't take any extra brain power. You've just got it going, right? And so showing up when it's not easy is one of the most important aspects of this, but it is important to remember that in order to show up when it's not easy, you have to show up when it is easy. That way you have that consistency built, you have that discipline built, you have those habits installed in your life. That way, when life inevitably kind of hits the fan, you've got everything going for you as far as the habits go, right? Okay, number 2, showing up within the industry. Before we get into showing up for yourself, showing up for your family, I feel like it's really important that we discuss this aspect. And I'd be remiss if I didn't discuss it because we talk about it all the time of being involved in agriculture, what that looks like, how we can continue to grow as an industry, and the fact that in order to do that, you kind of have to get out of your little bubble, right? You have to get out of your little teeny tiny small town little community bubble and grow into something more, whether that is being involved in that community, being involved in local board associations, being involved in state events, community events, whatever that be. You have to get out of your ranch bubble and you have to start being involved in different aspects of the industry. I want to encourage you that if you want change within the industry, all of us, it's really easy for us to sit there and be like, this needs done, that needs done. All of these things need to change, but then we just sit there and we say cheers with our morning coffee, we complain about it, and then we don't do anything about it, right? Because that's easy, that's comfortable to sit there and say, we need change, we need reform, be like, and Bob needs to do it, right? Because it's just natural for us to not want to have to be the person that is the charge leader, going at it, going crazy, all of the things like that. And if that is natural for you, I love that. But for most people, it's not, okay? But you cannot influence a room if you are not in the room, okay? That means that if you are not there at these community events, at these state events, involved in different political things, you're not going to be able to influence anything. If you're not there, nothing is being influenced by you. And therefore, change is not happening. Your voice is not being heard. So showing up isn't just about being the loudest person in the room. It is about showing up as the one who keeps showing up every single year, year after year, even when it's hard, and you're showing up with purpose and you're showing up with integrity. Being in the room does not mean that your voice is heard. Okay? You also have to combine being in the room with that integrity, with that purpose, with the willingness to listen to other people, because 9 times out of 10, I talk to people and they're talking about how frustrated they are with a certain situation, a certain thing that's going on. And they say, I'm getting involved. I'm going to this. I'm going to that. I'm doing all of these things. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Have you taken a chance to sit down with someone from the other side and have a really great conversation? Because if you want change to actually happen, you need to know what the other side is thinking, what the opposition's mind is on. And if you are being involved, I'm getting a little bit off on a tangent here, but be involved in these community events. Get involved in the industry. Stand up, show up for the industry, because it is so important that we do, right? It is important that we show up for ourselves, and it is important that we show up for our families and those around us, but it is also important that we show up for the industry and that we continue to evolve ourselves, because if we want ag to stay in good hands, we need to be willing to take a seat at the table. At the end of the day, point blank period, if we want ag to be in good hands, you got to take a seat at the table, because if your butt is not in a chair at that table, then your voice is not being heard. Point blank period. That's the end of that. I don't have any more to say about showing up for yourself in the industry. You have got to show up for the industry if we want change, if we want to continue to evolve, and you've got to show up when things are good. That way, when things are going bad, you are still showing up. In today's cattle business, efficiency isn't just a goal, it is a necessity. Here at CattleUSA, we are excited to partner with MJE Livestock Equipment. They design working facilities that streamline your operation, reduce labor costs, and enhance herd health. Their modular systems are built to adapt as your ranch grows, ensuring long-term value and durability. Invest in equipment that works as hard as you do. Visit mjelivestockequipment.com to learn more today. Okay, showing up for your people, showing up for the people in your life. This is something that is so easy to put on the back burner, right? It is so easy to be like, I had a really hard day, and not want to talk to your wife or husband when you get home. It's really easy to just not to isolate yourself and to not put yourself forward when things are hard, when things are difficult. It is so, so important. And you know what? Sometimes showing up just looks like showing up during calving season. Maybe it's you are extending an olive branch to a neighbor and just saying, hey, I am here, right? I am here for you. I don't know what you're going through, but I am here for you, right? Because in ag, so often we isolate ourselves when things are going rough, when things are going bad. I want to encourage you that showing up for yourself and showing up for your family are the two most important things of this episode. Showing up for your industry, yes, I got off on a little tangent there, and I could speak very passionately about that for a really long time. I probably should have just done a single episode over that, because I could go off on showing up for the industry. But you can't show up for the industry if you're not showing up for yourself and showing up for your family and those around you. So when it comes to showing up for those around you, yes, you need people to show up for you, but you also need to be that person that's showing up for them, because it's a two-way street, right? If you want your friends to show up for you in the industry, you need to be extending that olive branch. You need to be reaching out. You need to be forming this community, because showing up doesn't always fix the problem at the end of the day, but it does remind people that they are not alone. And that is so important in an industry that can be so isolating. And then also when things are going bad, we can be very self-isolating. We put ourselves in those buckets that is comfortable, and isolation is comfortable. You don't have to deal with other people. You don't have to process other people's emotions or anything else that's going on. And so it is a lot easier to do that. But you have got to show up for other people, and other people will show up for you. I want to challenge you all that whether this is showing up for your family, showing up for your neighbors, your employees, your team, whatever that is, I want you today or this week to just extend an olive branch to someone. Show up for someone else, because if you're not showing up for someone else, you can't expect other people to show up for you. So extend that olive branch to a neighbor, extend that olive branch to a family member, a friend, anything like that, and start just having those conversations and creating that community. That way you've got your people, and that way you can show up for them, because the community in ag is so important. It is so important, and we are blessed with such an amazing ag community, and we can't keep taking that for granted. Okay. Finally, showing up for yourself. This one is often overlooked and extremely, extremely important. So showing up for yourself is not just physically showing up for yourself, but also mentally and emotionally. So how are you doing in here? How is your head doing? How are you feeling? And you know what? You might be listening to me right now and be like, goodbye, Lauren. No, I'm out, girl, right? Rightfully so, understandably so, because that is some woo-woo stuff. And it's not always fun to sit down and be like, how am I doing? Right? It really isn't. And I don't blame you. I do it often and it's still not fun, right? I am checking in with myself all the time and I don't really enjoy it. It's super uncomfortable, but you are part of an operation that is worth investing in. You're a big part of that. And so what are you doing to invest in yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally? How are you continuing to look at these 3 buckets and make sure that they are full? And you know what? Sometimes you may have 2 buckets that are overflowing and one that hasn't seen a drop of rain in a hot minute. And that's okay. I want to encourage you, like, that's life. They're not all 3 going to be overflowing all the time. And you know what? If you've got all 3 overflowing right now, that hoorah, I'm so happy for you. That is amazing. I hope that it stays that way. But if you're listening to this and you're like, I think 2 of them are maybe half full, that's okay too. How can you start investing in yourself? Look at those 3 buckets, see what your levels are at, and what can you do to start pouring back into you? Because you are arguably so on a lot of operations, the owner, the operator, the rancher, the person that is behind the scenes is the most vital asset of that operation. Now, I've done a lot of work on this podcast to hopefully make it not fully the case that, like, if something happens to you, then the operation just goes to shit. But at the end of the day, I know that a lot of our operations are still that way. If something happened to my dad today, God forbid, it wouldn't go to shit, but it would be a little rough for a while, right? So I'm just saying that to remind you that you are the most important asset in your operation, and you've got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of yourself physically, you got to take care of yourself mentally, and you got to take care of yourself emotionally. So whether that is, maybe for you physically, you just need to commit to every single morning with your morning coffee, you're going to go on a little walk. Like, you're going to take you're going to get your walking shoes on. You're going to go outside. The weather is gorgeous right now in Kansas, so you have no excuse on the weather, and just go outside and take a walk. Or maybe for you, it's when you're checking cows, instead of driving through them, you're going to park the truck once you get to the pasture and you're going to go walk through them. Just change it up a little bit. Change it up so that you can start pouring into yourself physically. Maybe it is for yourself mentally, you are enrolling in a business course. Maybe it is you are enrolling in therapy. Maybe, I don't know what it is for you, but whatever that is, I encourage you to take a step forward, find a way that you can start pouring back into yourself, because burnt out ranchers don't build sustainable operations. Point blank period. At the end of the day, if you are burnt out, you're not being really, really great in your business in any way, shape, or form. So burnt out ranchers don't build sustainable operations. So how are you pouring into yourself? Evaluate your 3 buckets and go from there. Now, as we close out today, I want to encourage you that you do not have to move mountains today. I just want you to start showing up. The rest is going to build up from there. Showing up is the first step. I always say that just take 1 step. Right. That is one of my things. I have a whole speech that I give to college kids about it, of just take the first step. And with this, I really, really want to encourage you that just showing up is that first step. Like, just walk into the room, sit down with yourself, sit down with your family, just show up, because it is so important that you show up and that you are be there and that you are present. So where in your life have you been hiding? Where do you need to show up again, even if it's quiet and even if it's small. Thank you guys so much for another amazing podcast and for listening to me rant a little bit today and just talk about the power of showing up and what that means for me as an agriculturalist and what that can mean for you and an impact that it can have to your operation. So as always, please like, subscribe, rate, review, all of the things. I hope that you guys have an amazing Tuesday. That's when this is coming out. And you know what? If you're not listening to this on Tuesday, I hope that you have an amazing day. And we will see you all tomorrow on another episode of the Cattle USA Daily Podcast. Have a great one, y'all.